Well, it's been a while. Welcome back to another Test and Tune video. This is that weird period between Christmas and New Year's when nobody knows what day it is, myself included. But because it was just Christmas, I did that thing where I got my girlfriend something that I wanted her to have for Christmas, and that thing was a CarPlay unit. So, it's been on my mind for a little while, but these CarPlay boxes, which we have down here, they've been around for a little while, and now they're available for relatively not much money. This one was secondhand off Marketplace. Somebody bought it and never installed it, and I think it was around $150. I bought it a little while ago, but it's a bit of a nightmare to install. So I thought I'd do a bit of a review on whether it's worth messing with these or those new Mr. 12-volt ones that are out and seem to be quite popular, how hard these ones are to install, and then really just test out my new camera as well, which is very snazzy. Unlike the normal CarPlay units, which connect into these quad locks, so every other one I've ever seen, and the one I installed a couple of years ago, it basically has a bridge or a patch harness that goes in between this quad lock and the main CIC unit, and then that goes off to the CarPlay box and does all the works. This one only connects into the CIC connector. Sorry, not the CIC, the iDrive controller, and it has a connection for a CIC iDrive, which is that one, or this I think is NBT. Maybe it's very late CIC, but there's two different CIC controllers out there. The one in this car is just the 4-pin, so it's got those 4 pins. Now that does power and CAN bus, which gets this most of what it needs to know for it to work. And the way they work, they basically patch into the aux cable, which is the cable here, and we're going to patch it into the factory aux input just down there. So when you switch it over to CarPlay on the screen, it basically takes over the screen, it transmits the audio into the factory aux signal, but then you can control everything using the iDrive controller because it's also picking up the CAN bus, and that's really how it integrates with what the car is doing. And that's what makes it such a factory or OEM type of install. Now the other thing with this type of install, because it doesn't have access to the quad lock, that means it doesn't have access to the microphone either. So normally these will patch into the microphone in this quad lock because that's got literally everything the car is doing going into the CIC, but this unit doesn't have that. So we've actually got a wire that runs underneath here. I've got to feed it all in, up. It's going to run across the roof lining. Hopefully you guys can see. We've got some focusing, and it comes out here. And that is actually just another patch harness that patches into the microphone. So this unit will have access to the factory microphone. But my gosh, this has been a bit of a nightmare to install. Not having, basically because you've got to do a separate run to the CIC controller and then a separate run up to the microphone. It's taken quite a long time. This is also the first E70 that I've done as well. And I nearly forgot, unlike the typical units that have an input for the original CIC or the original display and then an output going up to the display, this has just 2 wires that come out of the unit. So it has 2 wires that come up to the dash. However, this one is going to go into the original CIC unit, and then we have this one, which is a female one, which goes or connects to the original wire that runs up to the screen. So you don't actually need to remove the screen, but the screen's like the first thing you can get access to in an E70, so having this set up really doesn't save you any time. This is just a lot more of a mess. And it is all pretty easy to do once you work out how to do it. Things like this panel, that just unpops. It is just clips that hold it in. The gear shifter panel has 4 T30s which hold it in place, and then that comes up, and that gives you access down into this crevice where you can feed up the wires from underneath, and I have just got them tucked in this little panel here, going into the box, which I'm going to tuck up into the, just under the dashboard here, which you guys probably can't see. The other thing to note is this little airbag clip. It's just pressed into the trim panel here, so with a flat screwdriver you can pop that out and then you can access the Torx bit, which is just in there, and it's a T25 Torx. Oh, and then of course we've got the Phillips screws that hold the sun visor in. Everything else is pretty standard BMW pull away to get into it. There's nothing tricky. But if you've got any questions and you happen to be installing this weird type of CarPlay, leave a comment below and I will see it. Okay guys, it's going to be the moment of truth. Everything's put back together. I've let the phone and the car completely disconnect. Now, as I was putting it back together, I did reconnect it, make sure it was all working. And I've also connected my partner's phone to it. But let me show you how this thing works. So the reason I want to do this, the box that I installed, probably 2 years ago now, in my brother-in-law's 325, it was a bit iffy with connection. So I want to see if this one is any better, because it's definitely a different box. So let's unlock and see if it connects. Okay. We are there. Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay, so my phone is... Okay, so my phone is just down in there. Let's power the car up. That's the car. That's it. Oh, sorry. Don't know if the camera was pointing in the right direction. Okay, so it connected that quickly. Something that is really cool about CarPlay, if you have HomeKit set up for a door that you frequently use with Siri, I have my front gate, it will actually open the front gate, which I think is pretty cool. So if I click on the front gate, it opens the front gate. Not that you can see it because it's not focusing, but I think that's pretty cool. Alright, in fact, I need to close that now. So I'll just close the gate. It's going to tell me that the gate's closing. Yeah, that's sick. Alright, so the actual unit, let's see how it sounds. So I have some YouTube music here. In fact, I'm going to have to quickly just pick some royalty-free music. Bear with me. Okay, so I've got some royalty-free music queued up. Let's play it. Yeah, there's been a bit of an issue with some CarPlay boxes not sounding very good. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit. That sounds fine. No complaints, and we're just going to see if all the steering wheel controls work. A bit slow, but it did change the track. Of course, volume will work. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, the CarPlay unit seems to be okay. I will put a comment below on this video if I have any connection issues over the next week or so, or my partner, because it's her car, and yeah, let you know my thoughts. But the price that you can pick up these older units for now, I think they're a pretty good buy. I couldn't really afford to put one of those new Mr. 12 volt ones in with the Mossbus integration, which I would have liked to have done, but I think for the guys that are on a budget, these are a pretty good option right now. And I'd love to put a link to it, but there was only one available secondhand. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you got any questions about installing it, let me know. But first thoughts are, for an older unit that's probably 2 years old now, it's doing the job fine. She's got CarPlay.